December 26, 2014, from Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan. It was the Quick Lane Bowl between the Rutgers Scarlet Knights and the North Carolina Tar Heels. Rutgers would start off the game with the first scoring when Gary Nova hit Andre Patterson for a 34-yard touchdown pass just over 2 minutes into the game, and that made it Rutgers 7, North Carolina 0. That would be it for the first quarter. And then just into the second quarter, less than a minute and a half in, Josh Hicks ran it 21 yards for the touchdown to make it Rutgers 14, North Carolina 0. Rutgers didn't stop there, though. With about 9 minutes left before halftime, Robert Martin punched it in from 8 yards out to make it 20-0 after the extra point failed. And so now, with just seconds left on the clock before halftime, Kyle Federico would kick a 19-yard field goal to make it 23-0 Rutgers over North Carolina going into the locker rooms at halftime. So now coming out of the locker rooms to start the third quarter, North Carolina would have the ball first, and they would go 12 plays, 76 yards in about 4.5 minutes. And it'll be accentuated by a 1-yard touchdown run by Marquise Williams as the Tar Heels put their first points on the scoreboard, as it was now Rutgers 23, North Carolina 7. Rutgers would answer, though, with about the midway point in the third when Gary Nova hit Andrew Terzilli for a 34-yard touchdown pass, and was now Rutgers 30, North Carolina 7. That would do it for the third quarter, and less than a minute into the fourth, Robert Martin ran it 28 yards for the touchdown to make it a 30-point game with the score Rutgers 37, North Carolina 7. Less than 4 minutes later, Kyle Federico would add a 31-yard field goal, and it was now 40-7 Rutgers over North Carolina. North Carolina would get a couple of touchdowns, though, to end the game. With about 7 minutes left, Marquise Williams actually threw a touchdown to Jack Tabb, a 7-yarder, and now it was 40-14 Rutgers over North Carolina. And then with 5 minutes left in the game, less than 2 minutes later, Mitch Trubisky would hit Kendrick Singleton for a 1-yard touchdown pass, and that would make it Rutgers 40, North Carolina 21, and that would be the final score as the Scarlet Knights hold on to win in the Quick Lane Bowl in Detroit. And in this game for the Scarlet Knights, Gary Nova was 9 of 20. He had 184 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. He also had 30 yards on the ground off of 2 carries. Marquise Williams was 25 for 37 with 198 yards and a touchdown. He also had 51 yards on the ground off of 15 carries and a touchdown as well. The leading rusher in this game was Josh Hicks. He had 202 yards off of 19 carries and a touchdown. Robert Martin also had 19 carries. He had 100 yards and 2 touchdowns in the game. And the leading rusher for the Tar Heels was TJ Logan with 14 carries for 110 yards. Elijah Hood had 10 carries for 62 yards. And the leading receiver in this game was Andre Patton of the Scarlet Knights. He had 3 receptions for 67 yards and a touchdown. Leonte Carew had 2 receptions for 43 yards. And for the Tar Heels, their leading receiver was Ryan Switzer with 6 receptions for 54 yards, and Jake Tabb had 5 receptions for 51 yards and a touchdown. So Rutgers just dominated North Carolina in this game. They scored 23 unanswered in the first half before the Tar Heels put their first points on the scoreboard in the third quarter. And then they were up 40-7, Rutgers was, until the Tar Heels scored those late 14 points. And still, Rutgers wins by 19 with the final score in the Quick Lane Bowl. Rutgers 40, North Carolina 21.